Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We're going to get going very shortly. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. All right, before we get going, a bit of housekeeping. If you can read through the risk disclaimer. Any questions as we're going through the webinar, just type into the question box. I've got the chat box open too for you. Now, as we're going through the live market webinar, I will be looking at levels and I'll be discussing trade entries that I might be looking at, but that's what I'm looking at. I don't know what your personal circumstances are, so you need to understand that I'm giving any personal advice. If you want to trade anything that I'm discussing this evening, that's your own doing and your own decision making. So I'm going to look at the market from an educational point of view and how I'm looking at trading it. Of course, though, you have to determine how you want to trade the market. All right, about myself, Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the market now for more than 15 years, the Forex market that is, and mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And if you want to connect with me through the week, then you can get me at the website, acy.com, market news tab. My analysis is published there through the week. It's also published on the YouTube channel. So if you go to ACY Securities Australia, you'll get all my analysis. You get my weekend analysis, how I'm looking at the market across 6 pairs at the start of the week. And then any updates I'm giving through the week. You can connect with me personally on Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles. As well, through the week, you can connect with me in our live interactive trading feed on Telegram. Just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. His email is there. I'll put it in the chat a little bit later. Nathan Bray at acy.com. In fact, I'll put it in the chat now. As well, if you want to get access to my chart layouts, you can see them in this little picture up here. Then just contact Nathan. He will organize that for you. So I'll just put his details in the chat. All right, it's a good idea to get access to the Telegram because anything I'm publishing on an analysis basis is getting put through that channel. So not all my analysis gets put through our YouTube channel, but it all gets put through the Telegram channel. So you might be missing out on something there. All right, before we get to the charts, let's just have a quick look at forexfactory.com. We'll look at the news coming out. Now, there's a big news event coming out this week. Let me just refresh this. Just want to make sure it's up to date. All right, nothing much coming out today, but the big one that I'm discussing is on Thursday. We've got the Eurozone interest rate decision. They're expecting a 25 base point rise. I have seen headlines like a month or two ago. They were talking about like 25 base points to 50 base points. So Be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure it'll be very volatile on the euro crosses at that point. And then we've got the ECB press conference coming out at 10:45 p.m. So be very aware of that. On Thursday, when I do my live market analysis, we'll touch base on that again. But at the moment, the euro crosses are very much covering their short positions, heading up the range ahead of that event. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen once that comes around. All right. So let's get to the charts. As I said, there's nothing coming out today. You can come here yourself and have a look. But tomorrow we've got early morning Bank of Governor England Bay speaks. There's the Aussie RBA low governor speaking tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. we've got the pound CPI data. 10:30 p.m. tomorrow we've got Canadian CPI data. But just head over there and review yourself. Nothing coming out in the next 12 hours. So nothing in the way of trading if you want to trade the next 12 hours. Now, if you've been watching the charts, price has already moved for the day. A lot of pairs have already put in their range for the day. So it's a question of planning ahead for the next 24 hours. Cameron, what do I mean? You're asking me when you say the euro is covering their shorts. Well, short positions are sold positions. So all those that are sold at the moment, price is starting to head back up. They're wanting to get out of their position. If they're short, they're covering their short positions if they want to get out ahead of the interest rate decision. So what we're seeing is prices moving up. So to cover a short, you need to buy. So there's buying pressure in the market. So what I'm really seeing there is there's a lot of buying pressure. I'm sure that is short trades getting covered, closed. So when I say covered, that means closed. So they're having to buy, so that adds to the buying pressure. So now you're saying you expect, so they expect to go bullish. It's not necessarily bullish, but they want to be out of their trades risk-free ahead of that event. So to get out, they have to buy. So if there's lots of people short and they don't want to be in a trade when the event happens, they have to buy. So if there are a lot of people that have sold covering those positions, they have to buy to close. So I think that, generally speaking, is a little bit of what's happening. So that's why price is moving up. Of course, some people may be positioning themselves because we failed last week at the one level. So some people might be covering their shorts just because we failed at one level. And also some people might be opening bought positions because they're seeing that the one level has been support for a move up. So there will be people opening trades, but people covering their short positions. All right. So I just want to click through. I don't think there's anything that I'm looking at to go short. Pairs have been moving up with the newly formed immediate day chart trends. And, you know, at the top of the days, this euro yen is at monthly resistance up here at the figure. But it's against the day chart trend. So I'd probably need to see a little bit more information if I wanted to start to short that pair at the moment. It's looking a bit bullish, but it's getting a bit of selling pressure at the figure. You know, if you want to go counter trend, we're starting to see a fair up there at the figure, but I'll get into that pair a little bit later. But that's just to give you a heads up. If you want to look at a failure at a figure level, it is failing up there at the moment, but that euro dollar is definitely in an uptrend. So a lot of these pairs, you can see they're at the top of their days having a little bit of a pullback, which is probably counter trend to the general trend. So it's a question, I think, of, you know, if you haven't already gotten in at the earlier part of the day, then you've probably missed the move for the day. So, all right, I'm going to get to the Japanese yen in a moment, but I'm going to start with the dollar index just to give you an update. So the monthly charts, here it is. We're into some resistance areas here at 108.09 and at 109.24. And you can see on the monthly chart there, we've moved in and we're withdrawing out from that level. It doesn't necessarily mean we're changing the trend there. Just checking my questions. Doesn't mean to say we're changing the trend up there, but we're obviously getting some selling pressure at resistance. And the weekly trend is still up, but we're having a week down. So what we're seeing is euro dollar is having a strong week up. So the dollar index is having a strong week down because the dollar index is basically at least 50% of the euro dollar, or of the euro anyway. the makeup of the dollar index. If you don't know what the dollar index makeup is, just go and Google it, but at least 50% of the makeup is of the euro. So if the euro's rallying strongly, the dollar index is probably going to pull back. So the euro dollar is having a week up. This is having a week down. This could pull back to this resistance level that got broken here, 105.70, but we'll have to wait and see. Trend's still up though structurally, and the day chart's just broken a very minor swing low here. So it's just into a downtrend on the daily. Monthly, weekly still up. So we may be coming back to this area, which will be very significant when you look at the euro dollar, because there's a similar level that the euro dollar might be heading towards. All right, so if this comes here to support, the euro dollar will probably be moving up to resistance, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens. Slav, you're asking me the chat is disabled. Shouldn't be. I've been able to chat. Can somebody else? Cameron, can you try and use the chat and chat to me? Chat should be working. Cameron, you're saying it's disabled. All right. Well, as far as I know, let me just have a look. All right, have another go now. See if that works. All right, all good now. All right, something changed in the settings, but I've changed it back. All right, great. All right, just let me work things out on my. Just got to clear a whole bunch of questions out so I know nothing's coming in. All right, all good. And for those, while we're talking about chatting, for those on YouTube live feed, if you're on there, I can't see the chat that you might be putting in there. So just get into the webinar, into the live webinar if you want to chat to me. And Cameron is saying that the dollar index seems to be respecting the daily low. Oh, I don't know. It's just, I'm just looking at the day chart here. It's just coming down to putting a day down at the moment. Whether or not it's having a bounce there, I don't know. I don't really focus on that too much. I just focus on its overall positioning and structure. So it's having a day down. All the pairs to the US dollar generally having a day up. May have already put the range in for the day, but it may well be coming down here over the next few days. So we may see a few more days up on the pairs to the US dollar. Okay, so that's what I'm really looking at and trying to get across. S&P 500 isn't really doing anything. It's consolidatory, just slightly down in the overall downtrend, but it's still sitting above weekly support here. So it's just consolidating. All right, it's needing a news event of some description to further move it down with the trend maybe. I mean, it's still in a downtrend. It's just a very weak consolidatory day chart downtrend at the moment, in line with a weekly and a monthly downtrend. All right, not telling us too much there. But what definitely we're seeing dollar weakness coming in at the moment. So I want to go to dollar yen now. So with that weakness, we are seeing a bit of a pullback on the dollar yen. Not too much. It's coming back to a little bit of a support area here, which we'll be able to see on the 4-hour chart. This area here, but it might be getting a deeper pullback to this area here. So what I want to do, I want to go to my other charts and just discuss the range of the dollar yen for last week. I'm going to go through this tomorrow in detail in a webinar, but this is last week's candle. I'm just drawing it in blue. That's the range of last week. I showed you this a little bit last week, and we're heading down within the candle of last week. So what I'm monitoring is a 62% level. A little bit below that, I've also got last month's high. So I'm just looking at this area here, the 62% level. I'll give you the numbers in a moment. All right, so the 62 level is at 137.24, and last month's high is at 136.99, so approximately 137. So I'm looking to see if price comes into that area, holds, and then moves back up and wants to then put in the range for the week upwards. All right. So at the moment, it's just pulling back inside last week's candle. Often it will pull back to the 62 or the 79 on that candle range, and I'll show you all that tomorrow. So that's an area I'm watching at the moment. It could get some support from these 4-hour tops. So I'm just monitoring a couple of areas there. Those 4-hour tops, does it start to get support? More importantly, this area down here. Okay, got something coming in the chat. Slime is saying, generally speaking, dollar and yen have gone soft since the end of last week. While the dollar's gone soft, the yen's gone strong. Oh, well, the yen's gone strong on the dollar yen, whereas the pairs to the yen are going up. So yeah, the yen's weak on that front. So what we're seeing, pairs to the US dollar and pairs to the yen, generally speaking, are moving up at the moment. Bit of a risk-on environment. You asked me, is it a long-term change of trend? I don't think so. I just think we're having a couple of weeks, 1 week or a couple of weeks up, and we'll have a look at the weekly charts to put them into perspective. And yeah, Aussie dollar and Aussie yen and Aussie dollar are very similar. I tried to buy the Aussie dollar today at 68.01. I tried to buy that and I missed it by 2 pips, which was annoying. All right, so that's the dollar yen. I'm just looking to see if this can move back within the range of last week, hold, and then move back up. We can revisit that tomorrow when I go through the webinar on the candle ranges. All right, now I'm going to go to my other charts now. Now, things have already moved up. If you got my weekend analysis, I did discuss price pulling back to 94.02, 9400 to possibly find support for a further move up, which occurred today. And I posted that in Telegram today. I was looking down here at 9400 for support. And the way I really got that was from the day chart. I've been looking at this level of resistance. 9402 and 9431 has been resistance a long time, but we started to move up, higher bottom, higher top. And when we went through it yesterday, even though we kind of rejected it, I was starting to feel like we're in an uptrend now. So that area of resistance is going to start to form some form of support. All right, MACD's crossed up. All right, it's structurally changed its philosophy. So I was looking for, where is intraday support? So intraday, what I could see, yesterday we formed support here intraday. So I was looking for price to come into that area. It came into the area late New York, came into that area early Asia. I posted before we got down to that level in our Telegram instead of looking at 9402 to 9400, even possibly a slight day down first of all before popping back up for a move up. And of course, you can see we've moved up. Now, I'm looking for a possible move up to this 95.73, which is this weekly top here, as a good target to aim for within that uptrend. And we've obviously almost moved up to today's projected high. I haven't quite got there. We capped at 9,500 now. If this pulls back, we've moved above 94.31 today. You can see that we started to form some support on it. Moved up, pulled back, became support. This is how your higher time frame support or resistance levels show support intraday. We've moved above it, it became support here. Moved further above it, became support here. So if we pull back to 94.31, I don't know whether we'll pull back today, but if we do tomorrow, I'll be looking at 94.31 to hold as support. Could offer an opportunity to trade up. Okay, so we're too high up here. We're at premium price at the moment. So you have to look at the market as, you know, discount or premium. You know, if we look at the range of yesterday, I put a fib across the range of yesterday. Up here is premium price. Down here at the 79% retracement level is discount price. All right. So if we look at this next move up that we're having and look at where we can find a discount price, 62% level with weekly support, 94.31. All right. So planning ahead now, does this dip down to a discount, 94.34, 94.31 area? hold for a move up. All right, this is premium price up at there at 95 at the moment. You want to be looking for price to come down to a level that could act as support at a discount price. All right, I'll leave that on there. That all making sense? And I don't get interested too much in trying to trade these counter pullbacks with the trend. Of course you could, if that's what you want to do, but this hasn't done the range for the day yet. So this could be a very short-term pullback before it wants to move back up. Just pausing, because I've got something in my chats. Slav, you're asking me what makes me think that once it moves back to 94, it'll move back up rather than keep moving back. Well, I'm not saying up here to move back to 94. It was earlier in the day here. I was looking at, as price was here this morning, I was looking to see if this would pull back to 94. I had daily support, broken daily resistance becoming support at 94.02, and had an intraday area of support formed at that level yesterday. So yesterday, 94 was proving to be support. So if it moves up into a trend and then pulls back, I'd expect 94 maybe to offer support again. Now that we've moved up to 95, then I'm looking at a new level now that we've broken above, which is 94.31. All right. Now it could come back down to 94 and still hold, but now that we've held there twice and moved up and we've broken above yesterday's high, we'll probably come down and put in a higher bottom, say on the 4-hour chart, and it could come in at this area here. So if we go to the 4-hour chart, structurally here on the 4-hour chart, this is in an uptrend. Looking for a 4-hour trend continuation pattern, a pullback to support with a fib for the next move up. All right. All right, so look at the Aussie. Now on the day charts, we've changed in the structure here in the daily. Now, whether or not it's really changing the structured long-term trend, because on the weekly, structurally, this is in a downtrend. So this is just having a corrective move against the weekly downtrend, right? So you've got to bear that in mind when we're talking about the Aussie dollar. The monthly, weekly trends are down. So we're having a 1-week rally after having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down. We could have 1 or 2, 3 weeks up. That doesn't change the overall picture of the trend. It just changes the immediate trend on the day chart. All right. And if you're trading intraday, it just changes the bias for your intraday trades. But if you're going to look to take a positional trade, you'd be looking to maybe putting the fib across this whole range. Then looking to see where the 62 level or the 79% lines up, and then monitoring price as it pulls back. All right. Now what I can see is I don't really trade at the 50 level, but I can see that sometimes the Aussie dollar does just pull back to the 50. Like the pounders, pound and the Aussie sometimes respect the 50, but other pairs generally will get up to 62.79, but Aussie and pound can respect the 50. And in the area, we've got some broken monthly levels of support. It is at 69.67 and 69.91. This is actually a weekly level. The monthly level's further back over here, but it coincides with the weekly level here. So we may well be moving up. I said that on the weekend. If we broke above this area, I said on the weekend, we could well be moving up to retest 69.67 broken monthly support. All right, so the day structure there is up now. Daily MACD is up. We're having a weekly corrective phase at the moment. All right. So intraday, like a 4-hour chart, you can see it's just structurally up. I would be just looking for a 4-hour pullback, 4-hour continuation pattern to form. I'll keep putting the fib on there and moving it up if price keeps moving up till we get a 62 or a 79% pullback. And does that coincide with any level of support? All right. If it doesn't move up any further, I can see it does coincide with 68.26. Now, 68.26 is a broken level of monthly support that we've moved below and moved back above. So that would be a good level to watch. If you just move it to my 15. If we did pull back, I don't know whether this pair can pull back. It's very strong at the moment. But 68.26, which is now monthly support, and the 79% fib are very close. I'd be watching that area, but I don't know if it will pull back to that area. We keep moving up. The daily level that we've moved above at the moment, 68.69, could well be support for the market tomorrow. You know, if we move a good 30 or 40 pips above 6,900 today, even though we're at the top of the day, then tomorrow you could be looking at 6,900 to be support, okay? But I'm not going to be entertaining this pair at the moment. Now that it's moved up for the day, I need to see a pullback of some description to a level that I like. I was trying to get in down here this morning, missed it by a couple of pips, and well, you can see what happened after that. And I was trying to get it at premium price, and I could have actually clicked in on a break of a trend line, but I was looking at premium price, had my order sitting there, and I was doing something else, and it just missed me by a couple of pips. So hopefully somebody got that. All right, Euro yen. On the day chart now. Over the last fortnight, last week, we've been forming this bit of consolidation here. So we consolidated here before, boom, we had a large move up. So we had a bit of a consolidation here on top of that consolidation, and then boom, we're starting to move up. All right. Now, fortunately, I actually got long on this pair on Friday, but if you haven't had an opportunity to get in, you probably missed the most immediate move. Now we are heading up to 40. We're testing 41.04 at the moment, which is, if we go to the monthly chart, this top here. All right, we're challenging that top today, 41.04. Now, if you look at, and I've got a few lines on here, but hopefully you can see that this monthly chart, though, is structurally holding to an uptrend where we've had a month down, we're rejecting. You know, we could have 2, 3, 4 months up here, potentially. You know, even though we've been down for the first 2 weeks of the month, we could finish very bullish by the end of the month. And the weekly, there's a bottom here, there's a double top up here, there's a very minor swing point here that you could maybe say that's gotten broken, but where these major levels are highlighted with my indicator, that's the higher bottom, this is the higher top, and this is quite possibly a higher bottom coming in. So if that's the case, then this could be moving, put a fib across that range. We pull back to the 62 level. Today, we've sat on top of this area of consolidation support. We just got shorted by a couple of pips. So we could be moving through, up and through at the moment to the 127 extension long term. All right, that's how it all looks structurally. How do we get in? At the moment, it's moving up very strongly. And on the 4-hour charts, today we've had like a 79% retracement. Pull back to 79%. Popped up to 127 extension. So now you look for the next continuation pattern. All right, there is a possibility that monthly top at 141.04 could hold the market, but then you're looking for the 4-hour chart to change structurally to confirm that. At the moment, we're not seeing any confirmation of that. And the euro dollar is moving up very strong. This is moving up very strong in line with that. I think some, as I was saying before, short positions of the euro crosses are getting covered ahead of the interest rate decision on Thursday. I was going to say Wednesday, but it's Thursday. All right, so moving to the 15. So this could still move up. So if it does, I'll just be dragging my fib up. All right, to see where my 62 levels and my 79 levels overlap on the chart. I'm not going to look to buy up here at the top of the day. You know, put that in perspective. There's the top of yesterday. If you're buying up here thinking, okay, this is going up, I want to buy because I think it's going up for the rest of the week, you'd have to weather all that pullback. So we've had the run up for the day. We've met today's rejected high. This may will pull back in to the 62 level. That's a much better level to look for a buy if you want to get long this pair than try and buy up here. All right, try to buy a dip. So I'll just be moving that fib if we continue up and look to buy a dip. Euro dollar, same story now. I say all the time that support and resistance trumps trend, and support and resistance is the key. All right. And there's going to be a couple. I'm going to show you on this pair. I'm going to show you on the pound dollar that if you get savvy with support and resistance, you're going to find where you need to be buying or selling. So the day chart here, there's a minor little swing here that we moved above, or that we formed last week at resistance, which was at 101.18. This 101.18 level is a monthly level of what was support. Just here, we moved through it last week and it became resistance. We moved below it, it came up, held at it, and we moved further down. But this week we've moved above it and moved above that day chart top, changing the immediate trend to up. All right. Now, if you're savvy, you should have been looking at that price level, 101.18, to be support once we moved above it. Because what you'll see on the 15-minute chart today, or the 4-hour chart, let's go to the 4-hour chart. Today's low came in at 101.19. That line's at 101.18, and that top there that we formed, when we moved below that level last week, we put a top there. That top, the 4-hour top's at 101.22. So between 101.22 and 101.18 was the critical area to look for support today, because we moved above that level. It pulled back to that level with it within the pip, that line that we've got on there. And then we moved up at least 100 pips. All right. So we broke below it last week. It became resistance. We broke back above it this week. It became support. All right. If you can get your head around where the major levels of support or resistance, if we break below, it becomes resistance. If we break above, it becomes support. All right. It's worked there twice. It's like clockwork. You could, if you want to know how to get your entries real tight at support or resistance and not see too much wiggle room, that's just showing you how you can do it. Now, I'm not saying it holds there exactly every time, but held there, went down, went above, held there today, okay? Now, we can't go back in time. We've done the range for the day. I would be looking at the 4-hour structure now, from that low up to the current high. I'm looking for a pullback to the 62 or the 79. Might not pull back to 79. May only pull back now to 10200, the figure, which was yesterday's high. All right, so watch the figure first of all, 10200. If it moves below there, watch the 62% retracement level for support for another move up. I did some video analysis on this pair today, and what I was saying was that on the weekly chart, even though we're moving up and we're seeing a day chart trend, moving up to the upside, the monthly and weekly trends are still down. So we're just having a week up after having 3 weeks down. Put a fib from the last lower top on the weekly, and this area of broken support, there's a monthly level of support here at 103.40. There's a weekly level at 103.49, and there's a daily level at 103.59 in this area. I'm going to go to the daily. All right, I've got a whole band of broken support through here. Could be resistance, and we've got a 62% level at 130.61. So what I'm anticipating is this is moving up to that level through the course of the week. Might hit that level after the interest rate decision, or be around there at the interest rate decision. After the interest rate decision, I'm going to be looking for that level to fail, to possibly hold. If that starts to hold, that could be where this weekly correction finishes for the next move down. And this resistance area here coincides with the dollar index daily support level here. All right. So you can watch those two things together. Got some things in the chat coming in. Yes, Cameron, you're saying it repeats every week and sometimes even the same moves on certain days. You're quite correct. And you're saying, so that move on the 118 was counter trend, but the big move is short from the 103 monthly resistance. Yeah, so at the moment, we're in the trend of the daily at the moment. The daily chart has actually turned up to up, but it hasn't changed the bigger time frame trend, the monthly weekly chart. So what I'm anticipating is we're having a week up, maybe have a 2 weeks up, and then we start to have more weeks down. Okay, that's what I'm anticipating. I could be wrong because I'm just anticipating, of course. So what I'm looking at the moment is, where's the next critical level of broken support that could be critical resistance? That where we could put in a lower top on the weekly chart. You know, a 62% retracement of the last weekly move down. Monthly resistance. There's going to be sellers there for sure. So it's a good level to watch, to get on board. And maybe that does turn there. And then when we move down to retest the parity level next time, we could move through it. Because we were holding at this 103.40 level just above for quite a while, and suddenly we went boom straight through it. So there's going to be lots of people that bought in that area that need to sell to get out of their bought positions. So expect some selling pressure there. That's the level I'm watching anyway, in terms of, does price fail there? If it does, I'm going to start to get short for the next move down. Gaurav, you're asking me, have we looked into commodities? If you ask me at the end, I can look at commodities, okay? I haven't done any commodities yet, but if you want me to go through a commodity at the end, just chirp up. All right, pound yen. Now, to the day chart, this has been a bit consolidatory. We've been really stuck in this area here between 164.64 resistance and these two levels of support, all right, in this area. But what you can see, hopefully, is we've moved above 164.64 now. And there's a bit of a minor higher bottom form just here. So if I can get rid of that box. Like the other yen crosses, we're seeing a bit more of an upward trend starting to form. This little consolidation area here, very similar to the one that I showed on the euro yen. So this has become a base of support like the one on the euro yen did. So are we now moving up? We've got a lot of resistance up here that we've been holding at long term. I mean, we may only move up to resistance, and we could be looking at resistance up here to trade back down. We'll have to wait to see where price gets. But at the moment, the trend is up, and I'm anticipating we may well move up into this monthly level of resistance at 168.01 and these weekly tops up here. All right, now, how do we get on board? 164.64, which is broken daily resistance. We just managed to hold above that level today. We could still dip down to that level. I'll be watching, if I want to get long this pair, I'll be watching 164.64. It's been resistance a long time. We moved above it. We should expect it to be support. It has been fractionally above there today. And in fact, we've probably got support there at 164.71 from that little 4-hour top at 164.70. But, you know, we may well come down and stab into the area at some point through the week. We've got some UK, some pound dollar news coming out tomorrow, which is, where are we? 4 p.m. tomorrow, CPI news coming out. We may get stabbed down into that area. You could be watching 164.64 to hold. If you start to hold there, that could be a good level to trade up from, right? So watch that level, 164.64. I mean, we could come down there today because the pound yen can quite move, you know, move. It doesn't have to move that far in terms of the pound yen. It's like 70 pips away. So pound yen can do 70 pips in an hour. So we can certainly get down to 164 today. That would be the level I'll be watching for potential support for a move up. Okay. Pound dollar. Just checking my chats. And yeah, Cameron, you're saying 164.6 has been a strong level for weeks. Yep. So we moved above it. So it could well now be supports. it's a definite number the market's been operating around for weeks as resistance. So I expect it to be support if we moved above it. All right, pound dollar. Just want to go to the day chart. A few lines on here. The notable ones of concern, this one, I wanted to discuss this one here today, 119.33. This was weekly support where we moved below. And lo and behold, today, because we moved above it yesterday, all right, it became support today. All right, so support resistance levels can change their polarity. They keep switching depending on where they are. It had 5 trading days ago last week. It wanted to be resistance. So we spiked up on that candle and we moved down. We moved above it yesterday and today it was support. And we moved, these are the two lines at 119.58 and 119.86 are monthly support levels if you go to your monthly chart. So for a week, we've been able to hold below weekly support and monthly supports, but we're moving back above those levels. So support's coming back in on this pair. If you move to the weekly chart just to see where the weekly range is, we haven't quite had a wake up, I don't think yet, but we could well be coming up to the 62% level. That coincides with 123.32. I'll see what that looks like on my daily chart where I'm getting that line from. So that's this top up here. So 123.32 coincides with a 62% level if we do have a weekly rally. This level here, this is a broken weekly level of support at 121.55. That would be a level that would be, levels that I'll be watching to position myself for the next move down in line with the overall trend. The weekly trend is down, would be at 121.55. I'll watch that area. You can see there's broken supports. There's broken support there. We were in consolidation. That's where we broke the base of consolidation. So that could be resistance. If we don't hold there, the next level we'll watch up there at 123.32. Now, just talking about getting your head around being, great at support and resistance. I've shown you what you could have done the euro dollar today. That level there at 1.8, where are we? This level here, 119.33. Let's move to the 4-hour chart. We moved above that area yesterday. See how we pulled back? Sat on top of 119.33. We went down to 119.25. And then we held there to move up. So the market moved above that weekly level of what was resistance, changes to support, and that's where the support came in today. So I'm anticipating we're going to be moving up high to those levels that I was discussing. Of course, we're getting into premium price for today, so I don't want to be a buyer at premium price. If you understood what 119.33 was this morning, there's a simple trend line break at that level to move up from support. Okay, simple as that. Now, we can't go back in time, and we know we're a good way up the chart for the day. So we're getting into premium price for the day. We've got support at weekly support. We're moving above monthly resistance. So I expect those levels now to be support on any pullback. So on any pullback, watch 1986, 1958. These are monthly support lows that we've moved below. We're moving back above. I expect them now to be support on a pullback. So I don't know where price will finish today. We could move up another 40, 50 pips today. But tomorrow, look for 120, 100, 119.86, or even 119.58 to be support. If we move up 50 pips beyond 120.100 today, I would anticipate we could pull back to this area tomorrow to find support. All right. You can see already it's dealing on the 200, the 120.100 level right now. If you're wanting to get in, you could maybe try to deal at 120.100 for a buy, putting your stop below. But for me, I like to get in near the low of the day if I can, not 2/3 up the range for the day. All right, so for me, it doesn't present a high probability entry point there. I'd need to see the day finish now. We pull back to form the low of tomorrow at some point tomorrow. So looking at those levels, you know, if we can move further up today, confirm that we want to have a week up, and then tomorrow we're looking at these levels for support for the next move up tomorrow. All right, just checking my chat. It's all clear, I think. All right, New Zealand yen to the day chart. It's been consolidating. Now it's moving up and it's getting support of this 83.90, which is an old monthly top. It is heading into a very clear area of resistance where this pair has been failing multiple times over the last 2 or 3 months. So if we start to see the same price action occur in the area, I'm going to be looking to short it, but we're not there at the moment. So I'm just monitoring. It's going to be monitoring from that weekly top at 87.33 down to this daily top at 86.37. That whole area. What does price do there? All right, now we're discussing this last week on my other charts in terms of the monthly range. That's the last month's candle, which was blue, but we finished down near the low of the month, or in the mid to 2/3 down on the candle, but the candle was still blue. So I've got a fib drawn across the candle of last month. We're moving within the range. I said last week to watch the 62 level. Now we have had some reaction around that, but ultimately today we popped above. So now I'm watching, just got my eye on the 79 level. What does price want to do at that level? And that area that I just showed you before is up here. The 79 level is a little bit short of that level, so I'm just monitoring the 79% level, retracement of last month's candle, and that area of resistance. All right, I'm going to talk about how looking at the candle range tomorrow in tomorrow's webinar, so we can come in and have a look at this pair and see what price is doing. It'll have obviously updated itself when we get here tomorrow. So it is rather range bound, this particular pair. Is it just coming up to the higher reaches of last month's candle before it wants to move down? So if it's coming up to the higher reaches of last month's candle before it wants to come down, obviously it's getting at a discount. You know, if you want to be a seller, you want to sell at a discount. So we're getting up to the higher reaches of last month's candle. So that is the discount area to look to trade down from. Now this might blow through the area. The yen crosses are moving up. So this may well just have been consolidating down here, and it may blow through these resistance levels. But this is a known area of resistance where it's failed here. It failed here. So I'm going to be watching up there for sure. And if I see any failure up there, I'm going to look to sell it because it's a known level of resistance. But we're not there yet, so I'm just going to monitor that pair. New Zealand dollar. So as you can see, all these pairs to the dollar are moving up, and this is getting a sprint on today. I'm going to go to my other charts. All right, so to the weekly chart. There's the weekly range. Trends down. We're having a corrective move within that range. Could be coming up to 62 level, the 79 level. Notably, the key level to watch now, though, is that we're moving this line, 6204. Go to my monthly chart, 6204 is this monthly level of support here and here. Well, we've moved below. Well, we obviously can't hold below that level because we're above it. So we're having a rally on the weekly chart where we're correcting this movement down. We could come up to the 62, 79. So what are we watching for is like I've just been discussing on some of the other pairs, the pound, the euro dollar. 6204 is no longer resistance. We broke below it. We broke below it. Here's the 4-hour chart. We broke below it. It became resistance here for a move down. But now that we've moved above it, expect 6204 to become support now for a further move up, so that price can move up to the 62 or the 79% levels of that weekly range. All right, that's what I'm going to be looking for a pullback on that pair now to the 6204 area. Does price now pull back to that level, find support, offer support to move up? Now, if it doesn't offer support and it moves below it, then look for that level to become resistance once more. All right. So as long as you have to just check what the polarity is, we're broken above, so it should be support. If it breaks back below, expect to become resistance once more, then for a move down. All right. So a very strong move up today. So I will be watching that area tomorrow. I mean, you can watch it today, but this may still go up further. It isn't that far above. Well, it is 30 pips above, so you could probably watch it today. I just don't like. I much prefer to be trading at that level tomorrow because we've already done the range today. So if it pulls back today, it could well pull back below that level. May not, but I just prefer to look and try to find the low of tomorrow as it pulls back intraday within the day's range that we formed today. Okay. All right, I'm just pausing, got some more in the chat. What makes you decide to use the candle over support and resistance, or is it more along the lines you add it as a confluence? I'm not really sure what you're asking me there, Cameron. You mean the candle range over support and resistance? Well, if it's a monthly candle range, just because I know that market can fail at 62 to 79% of the range. Same with a weekly candle. So I'm just letting price action paint a story at those levels. I would much prefer to be trading at support or resistance in terms of, my perfect choice would be support or resistance, but often new support or resistance forms at those levels within the candle range. So I'm aware of all things that could happen through the course of the week within the range of last week's candle or last month's candle. Okay. Like on that New Zealand yen, we go back to that pair where I was showing the candle range. I would much prefer to be trading down from this resistance area than the 79. But price action may, over a couple of trading days, so I'm not necessarily going to trade at that level. Price action may come up here and then start to consolidate on the 4-hour chart. Then I have some resistance there that I can trade against. If it starts to do that, I can start to trade against that resistance for price to start to break down. All right, so it's just an area I'm watching at the moment, whereas this is resistance. This is just an area where resistance could form. And then once the resistance forms, then I can use that resistance to trade down from. Okay. Slav, you got something coming in? On the 4-hour that you're saying on the Aussie dollar 4-hour chart, could it be getting ready for correction? Well, if you just look at the 4-hour structure, yes. Where's my other charts? I think, yes, when we look at 4-hour structure, we could be drawing a fib from a low to high, waiting for a 62.79% retracement. All right. It is most definitely overextended on the 4-hour structure at the moment. All right. So yeah, I wouldn't be buying up here. I'd be waiting for some form of a pullback. All right. That would be my personal preference, looking for a pullback. And We're at the 6,900 level at the moment, so we could pull back for sure from that level intraday. I would be having my fib across that range now, monitoring the 62.79 levels. If it keeps moving up, I'll be dragging my fib up. All right, let's go to the dollar Canadian. Now to the weekly chart. We discussed this level of resistance last week, the 30.76. Slav, you're asking me, still on the Aussie OE, where do you think a resistance level for a reversal could be expected? Oh, well, I already told you that before. You mustn't have been listening, but I'm expecting that, first off, 69.67 to 69.91 broken monthly support levels. All right. 69.67, 69.61, they coincide with the 50% retracement of this range. All right, up here. That's where I think price might be heading to. Of course, price could move further above there, but I think that's where price is probably heading to. Then it's a question of what does price do there? Does it want to move above or does it fail? That's what I'm looking at. So, if that runs out, there's a bit more to go at the moment. There's another, well, potentially, if you get up to the higher level, there's another 90 pips to go there. I tried to get long this morning at 68 to try and target that level. So I probably missed the boat now because I can't. The closer we get to that level, the more I'm getting ready to go short up at that area rather than get long. But I'll have to wait to see what price does in terms of any form of pullback. All right, back to the Canadian dollar. So we discussed this 130.76 as being critical weekly resistance last week. We did have a massive spike through, but we can see that we failed there. And I'm not too sure what's going on in this pair at the moment. Structurally on the weekly, this is probably a bit of a higher bottom. This is a higher top. And really, unless we break below that little low there, structurally in terms of trend, we're still up. But of course, we're failing at this weekly level. We're back below that weekly or monthly level, 29.63. And today we've come down to this level of support, 129.01, weekly support. So on the 4-hour chart here, we've come down to weekly support. Let's go to the day chart. If I draw a fib from this low point up to that, that's the big move that we've just had up. Then we have pulled back to the 7% level, which converges with that weekly support. So even though on the weekly chart, that looks like a very negative rejection, this could just be getting back down into the lower levels of where the buyers are, where people are taking their positions for a further move up. In terms of structure, the trend is up. We just keep failing at resistance and then we get hammered back down. And that doesn't say that it's going to change the trend. It just means that every time we move up, we're battling resistance, we get hammered back down to support holds, and then we move back up. So we've got hammered at resistance, we've moved back down to weekly support. Now, structurally, the weekly's up. The daily looks to me, whilst it's just turned fractionally to down here at the moment, it's broken that low. This could be into support here, 129.00, 79% levels at 129.05, and we've false broke the break of that low point there. What you have to understand is the large banks and institutions are trying to trade where your stops are, where they expect liquidity to be. So if you bought for this move up and you're still in, you've probably got your stop underneath here. So the large institutional traders, the banks, they go stop hunting because you're selling here and they want to buy. All right, so they go in there, trigger your sells. You sell to them that want to buy. So already we false broke that level yesterday. We touched that lower level of support. That could be the critical area of support now for the market to move up from. See today at the moment, we're trading in on the 15-minute candle. Are we moving back above? Are we getting support there to move up? Cameron, you're saying, do you mean we would be selling? No, all I'm saying is those that were buyers on this move up that are starting their trades would have their stops underneath this low. And if price breaks that low, they're going, okay, I'm wrong. So they have to sell. But they're selling to the larger traders that want to buy there for the next move up. So they're just getting out where the bigger traders are getting in. So this to me looks like an area of support within that fib structure for a move up. So it might come back down to 129. I don't trade the dollar Canadian, but if you do, 129.00 looks like a very good level of weekly support. It overlaps with the fib. We're getting a bit of a false break of this 129.35 daily support level. So it might come down for another test. Let me just put that daily level in because we're kind of testing that daily level now. We false broke it yesterday. It may just be support today, 129.35. So watch anywhere from 129.35 down to 129.01 to be support in the short term. And that could be where the next significant low comes in, maybe. Time will tell. All right, you can see at the moment we're dealing on there today. Once, twice, 3, 4 candles, not wanting to get below that with more than a couple of pips. All right, so if you like the dollar Canadian, you can watch that. You could just be maybe waiting for, a break of a trend line in that area to move up. All right, Gaurav, you asked me about a commodity pair. What do you want me to look at before we conclude? I can see you're on there if you're listening. All right, while I'm waiting for Gaurav to tell me what he wants me to look at, gold. All right, I covered this in our Telegram today. I can give you some general commentary on gold in that the instruction on the weekly chart here, when a clear downtrend, lower tops and bottoms, we just moved through this level of weekly support at 1721. What I was looking at today in general terms in our Telegram was I was just saying that we are coming down to a critical level of monthly support at 1678 area here. All right. Now we might get down to that level or we might get a little bit short, but we need to know that we're getting into a critical level of support. So if we start to see it like the day chart trend turn to up, then we can start to look obviously for opportunities to trade to the long side. The day chart at the moment, the structure of the weekly chart is down and we move below this weekly low and we're holding below that low 1721. So at the moment, weekly trend is down, the daily trend is down. You can see yesterday's daily candle came up to touch that level. Support and resistance work exactly the same on all instruments that are highly traded in terms of volume. So they came up to that level yesterday, held to move down. So you'd need to see, what I was saying in my commentary today was, can we start to see a higher top and bottom form? But in terms of pure support or resistance, we could come down to 1678. Does that hold as support? Do we see a turnaround? Do we start to move back above 1721? Does that start to be support? What I'd like to see on the day chart is we move up to a higher top, pull back and put in a higher bottom. Because we're clearly in a long-term downtrend. We've been going down for 4 months, so the trend is down. Long-term trend is down, but we're getting close to major support. So we want to see some clear change in trend. Getting above 1721 would start to give it a little bit of a sniff of a change in trend. You could be looking in your 4-hour chart. It is slightly higher tops and bottoms here at the moment. Higher top, higher bottom, but our higher top got held at 1721. See how it was support there, resistance there. So if we move above on the 4-hour chart, move above 1721, Then did we pull back like a 62% retracement? In line with that level now of support for a move up. All right. I wouldn't want to be selling down there at the moment. We're getting we're getting expensive down there for the sellers, aren't we? So that's what that's my general analysis on gold. If you want me to look at silver, all right, last one, and then I've got to go. Silver, the code for silver is what? There it is. All right, monthly trend is down. It is coming to a level of support. All right, so we're going to support, which we're fractionally below. Monthly trend is down. That weekly trend is down. Daily trend is down. See yesterday how broken support became resistance yesterday. If we start to move back above 1894, that starts to look a bit positive at that support level. In terms of the immediate trend, the most immediate from one day to another trend. Long-term trend is still down, but I mean, what I would like to see is, we can come above here to a higher top. Does that become support for the higher bottom to form? All right. So, I mean, it is in a downtrend. We are moving down to a clear area of support. So, I wouldn't be selling into support. I'll be waiting for some kind of signal to tell me that maybe support's coming in. All right. So, this can still obviously move through that level. It is actually below that level. There's the daily, it's still below it. So we might just come up to that level today, 1894, and that's resistance for a further move down. All right. So that's a critical line in the sand. So there's two levels I gave you there, one for gold, one for silver. If one goes above, probably both will move above. If one holds below, probably both will hold below. So you can look at both of those in tandem. They're both looking very similar in terms of their trends. All right. All right. Before I let you go, if there's anything final, just put it in the chat. And tomorrow I'm going to be going through position trading using monthly and weekly trading ranges. I keep touching on that in the live analysis, but I'll take you through the whole concept of that. That might open up your eyes in terms of how you can be in a trade for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Or, you're in for a trade for a week based on the weekly candle. So that's coming tomorrow. So just register at the page if you want to jump on board and learn all about that. I haven't seen anybody discuss this in any form or fashion. It's something I've come up with and found. So somebody will probably steal it and put it out on YouTube for sure, but there we go. That's coming up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Position trading using the monthly and weekly trading ranges. So if you haven't seen that before, come along. Other than that, thanks very much for coming in today. Hopefully got some levels so that you can monitor over the next couple of days, and we'll give an update on those on Thursday. Troy, you say awesome. Haven't looked at silver or gold. Looks great. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Or if you're on YouTube, thanks very much for streaming in, but you're more than welcome to come to the webinar page and register your interest and join us in the room. So thanks very much if you're on YouTube. Sorry I couldn't answer your chat because I can't see the chat. Thanks to everybody else for turning up. Wherever you are, stay safe and look forward to seeing you next time.